Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'll call the meeting to order for the October 27th board meeting at 6:30 p.m. Item 1B, roll call.
Paul Straff here.
Brianna Texoni here.
Ms. Jensen has not yet arrived, is en route, I think. Mr. Wadsworth is absent. Tim Jorgensen, president, is here. So we have a quorum of 3 board members. Item 1C, announcement by the board president. I'm in receipt of a letter from Mr. Wadsworth informing me that he has resigned from the Acton Agua Dulce U.S. Unified School District Board of Governors. 1D, regular board meeting agenda. Move a motion to consider.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Dr. Zahakian.
Board President Jorgensen, we don't have any changes to the regular board meeting for this evening.
Board member discussion. Hearing none, call the question.
Paul Straff, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Ms. Jensen is absent. Motion carries 3-1. Item 2A, public participation. Dr. Zahakian.
We don't have any public comment cards at this time, Mr. Jorgensen and trustees.
Item 3A, closed session discussion items. The board may adjourn to closed session for conference with labor negotiators, public employee discussion, discipline, dismissal, release, conference with legal counsel, and/or student matters. Do I have a item 3B, motion to consider closed session?
I'll move.
Ken,
I'll second.
Brianna, Dr. Zahakian. Board member discussion. I'd like to let known that Ms. Jensen has arrived. We are now 4 board members present. Call the question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Paul Straff, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. The motion carries 4-0. We'll adjourn to closed session at 6:33. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Going to reconvene the regular board meeting at 7:30. Flag salute. Ms. Jensen, would you lead us in the flag salute, please?
Right now, know your heart rate again. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Item 4B, civility statement. Mr. Fallscraft, would you read the facility statement for me, please?
Yes. When communicating the district's business, we will communicate clearly and concisely with respect for the time of others, listen objectively, carefully considering the opinions of others, understand the counterproductive effects of disruptive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors, understand and respect district policies and procedures, and maintain respect for the rich history of the district and efforts of others who have served in the past.
Thank you. Item 5A, report of action taken in closed session. The board will consider and may act on any of the following items in closed session. Any action taken in closed session will be reported in open session as required by law. Closed session may be called at any time during the formal meeting by a motion of the Board of Education for the purpose of discussing personnel problem, pupil problem, purchase consultation on a legal problem with an attorney, and with employee organizations in regard to salaries and or fringe benefits. All formal action involving such matters must be made in open meeting. My duty to confirm that no action was taken in closed session. Item 6A, public comments and recognition. Dr. Zahaki.
We have public comments this evening, Mr. Jorgensen, you have them to your right. Thank you.
Excuse me, point of order, if there's anybody out here that wants to speak to the board, those yellow cards up for that, feel free to fill them out. Good, rock and roll.
Discussion information, please submit a request to speak to the Board of Trustees card located on the exhibit table for an agendized or non-agendized item to the superintendent prior to the meeting or at this moment. Not more than 3 minutes are allotted to any one speaker, no more than 20 minutes per the same subject. This portion of the agenda is for comments and recognitions and reports to the board and is not intended to be a question and answer period. If you have questions for the board, please provide the board president with a written copy and an administrator will provide answers at a later date. The first speaker is Anna Escobedo. If you'll just state your name for the record, please.
Anna Escobedo.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, I'm just here to support the whole team, the Mustang football team and the coach. I'm just gonna, it's wrong what's going on. And if it's one of the coach or the students gonna get not let, how could I say? It's gonna be off the team. It's not fair. It should just let them play. Let him play. Let the coach coach. He's been a great coach and he's been a great student. And I support them 100%. It's not just, you're not hurting just them, you're hurting the whole team. Like I said, I'm just here to support them and 100%, and it's not right what's going on. So that's all I have to say. I wish I could say more, but I can't. You know, like I said, you're not just hurting just the teammate, but you're hurting the whole team. They're great kids. They're great kids and, let him play. Let the coach. He's a great coach. Because if it wouldn't have been for this coach, it wouldn't have been a football team. My son, he's in the football team and he had quit. But when he found out Coach William and Coach Tommy were gonna coach, he came back. You know, and my son has been doing great ever since he's been in this football team, and I'm 100% with them. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Escobedo. The next speaker, Yvonne Gonzalez.
Good evening. My name is Yvonne Gonzalez, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the football team as well. And I would like to say that I have coached personally with Coach Tommy and has always been very, very respectful. I believe that if looking at the whole situation, we're going to sit here and say that there's hearsay from one side of the party, then the other side should also be looked at as hearsay. You can't punish one side and not punish the other. There's incidents that have followed Blake in school that have occurred. This didn't happen on the field. So I feel that disciplinary action should occur through the school, but not affecting his athletic ability. And if there is something that needs to affect them on the athletic side, show us where it shows on the, you know, in the books. Show me where it says that he can't play because you called somebody a name. People call people names all the time. On another note, I think that this is part of life. This is where you grow. And being a DV survivor, I would prefer to be called a name than to be put hands on. And I believe that in this sense, this is where you learn. So if whatever has transpired between him and this young lady, whatever it's been, I believe that it was actually an appropriate action to just call a name back because they're high school students. But he should not be told and disciplined by saying, I'm going to cut you off on what you love to do. That should not happen. This is something that we learn. This is part of life. And by doing that, what are we teaching our kids? I mean, to me, my son is on the team. And to me, this shows my son, don't speak up. Don't say nothing, handle it. No, my son better not ever put hands on a woman. But you could say what you have to say. Say it, speak up, but don't you ever put hands on a woman. This is how you learn. This is part of life. And if you're going to discipline them and you're going to tell them, no, you can't play, I'm going to take away what you love. You are teaching this kid, don't do it that way. Wait till you get on the outside. Now, another note, Coach Tommy, I believe Coach Tommy has been an amazing coach. I've coached with him personally and never have ever had an issue. At this point, we're disciplining Coach Tommy, but yet it was the other party that went out of line. I'm not understanding why he's being disciplined when the other party was the one that was out of line, but yet the other child is still participating in her athletic action that she's in. I believe that if you're gonna punish everybody, punish everybody. Be straight across the board. That's the way it works. And if you're not gonna do that, then you know what? You punish everybody equally. What is all that we teach these children in school? Equality, right? We want to teach them be equal. Have the women fight for their rights. Have the men know that where they stand. Well, it starts here. And if we can't teach our kids here, then we're making a huge mistake. But I feel that he should play. It has nothing to do with his athletics. Yes, there was an incident. It occurred. Discipline him. But Coach Tommy, I don't feel did anything wrong by, as a matter of fact, I feel that if as a parent, even on the stands, if I tell a child, hey, don't be talking like that, and the parent doesn't like it, you know what? The parent doesn't have to like it, but the child even my child better respect that parent telling them, don't be talking like that. Because if we're saying that, we're saying it for a reason, because it's inappropriate. And then for the parent, the other parent to come and act all crazy, where did it come from? It comes from home. So that's not okay. You cannot let what came from home, from the other child, be okay. And that's all I have to say. He should play and he should coach. There should be nothing that should be stopping them. It's a senior year. It's the last game. Come on, let's be real. Nothing here is being taken appropriately. It's grounds that are being overcrossed and the other person's having no disciplinary action whatsoever. And that's wrong. And I step away with that. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. The next speaker is Lester Lesto. You can handhold that if you want, just take it on hold of your pocket. It's a lot easier.
Hello, my name is Lester Mascon. I am also here in support of the football team and Coach Tommy. And I don't know the details of everything. I wasn't there. I didn't witness them. But the perception is that due process may not have been followed and that the punishment may be more than the perceived offense or claimed offense deserves at this point. I would encourage you, the board, to try to bring as much clarity to that as there is possible. I know you can't speak on personnel details. I think all of you are making whatever decision you probably see as best. But the perception in the community is definitely the due process was not followed in this. So I encourage you to try to bring some clarity there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Musco.
Point of order, proud. We're not able to talk about what was just said, but we'll be making board member comments shortly. I don't want to cut into your homework. If this may interest you, want to make our individual comments.
Item 6B, Golden Spotlight, Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you, sir. We'll pick up the Golden Spotlight recognition at our November 10th board meeting. So we don't have the Golden Spotlight for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Seven A, add a representative.
Good evening, Sheldon Sparks, Madam President. There's a lot of times where we use examples to define and show what we've been saying. My message has been pretty clear over the last 13, 14 months. This board is the leadership of this district. The way you communicate is so important. When you have ADA representatives come in here and share where they're at, what's going on their campus, and they're sharing their heart, and then a board member sits there and says, this isn't the place for it, take it to bargaining. You communicated something. Sir, that is probably worse than firing the president. I'm sorry, firing the principal to ADA. You've communicated you don't care. You communicate that you callous. You communicate that you don't value employees. Your words matter. You demand of us ADA members to be professional. You demand it. I think we can have the same expectation from you. You are chasing members away, sir. You, sorry, I'm not trying to be harsh. In an era where we have limited teachers, replacing great teachers is not easy. When you're asking TOSAs to do more and more and more, How long is that sustainable? How long can you expect ADA members to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jobs? It's impossible. I spoke with my union today. They said it's not sustainable. And we have members who are actively looking to leave. And where are you going to find good teachers in this market when our pay is the second lowest in LA County? Again, I know that you try your best. I know that you aren't evil people at heart. But sometimes words, they need to edify. They need to rally us. They need to bring us together. They can't divide us. And it can't come from this leadership. Today, what happened at Vasquez is a typical scenario that we see played out over the last half decade. Same cast of characters. Site leadership makes a decision. That decision is overturned by district leadership in this office. And what it does is it frustrates employees. What it does is it burns people out. What it does is it says, you don't trust me enough to make the decisions. And you're going to lose good people because of that style of leadership. I love this district, fabulous district. The teachers that we have assembled at the 3 sites are hard workers. We come together under duress. We come together and we do the job even when you don't want to pay us. When I have to go to mediation, when I have to go to arbitration. I'll come to your representative multiple times and ask you to resolve this. We're squabbling over pennies. You would rather spend more money on lawyer fees than you would on paying your teachers. That's how ADA sees it. That's how they perceive it, whether it's true or not. We're spending thousands and thousands of dollars, and the teachers aren't even asking for a morsel of that. Leadership needs to inspire. It needs to bring people together. We can't be making decisions that why you hire somebody if you don't trust them to make the right decision? Dr. Shaneman's a fabulous principal, fabulous, professional, caring, passionate, works hard, professional. And today was a bummer. But this is what happens. This is the same scenario. I appreciate your time, Mike. Thank you.
CSEA representative? None? Student representative, Emily.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few updates of what's been going on in our schools. Meadowlark has their marker space under the works. The marker space is a place for students to prepare for STEM careers and learn how to solve real life problems. The ribbon cutting for that will be on November 14th at Meadowlark. Today, Meadowlark also had a BMX assembly to encourage students to be drug-free. Tomorrow, there will be a costume parade and parents are welcome to come and watch. And Meadowlark is starting to have clubs. Next week, there will be the Garden Club and the Music and Choir Club is to come. High Desert also has a Halloween Spirit Week going. Tomorrow is their costume contest, which will be followed by a Halloween dance. And the High Desert athletes have been doing great. Myself, I went to the cross country meet last week and the runners did amazing. They had a race today as well, and their last race will be next Thursday. At Vasquez, we had our fall festival last week. It was a hit. It was great to see the community come together and all the booths were just so well put together. It was great. Today, cross country had their league final. Our girls took first and came home with the league champs title, undefeated for the second year in a row. Unfortunately, we didn't have a boys team this year, but our 2 individual runners did great. On November 8th, the Performing Arts Club will be having a field trip to the Getty Museum. Quarter progress reports went out last week. Counselors have been busy working on seniors for college applications. Tomorrow, we will be having a Halloween dress-up day, which is followed by a movie night. The whole community is welcome to come and support the senior class from 6 to 9 p.m. at our gym. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Superintendent Gold Standard Report.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. Before I begin the report, I'd like to share a community-minded announcement. I'd like to thank the Acton Town Council for sharing this information. They sent us scholarship information regarding a $50,000 STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math college scholarship opportunity for our Vasquez seniors, along with an Edison International Line Worker Scholarship opportunity. Again, thank you to Acton Town Council for this information. Our wonderful counseling team has the information and they'll be sharing the eligibility and criteria with our Vasquez students. All right, tonight I'll be covering 3 strategic initiatives from the strategic plan: student achievement, community engagement, and utilization of fiscal impact. First off, student achievement. From the Superintendent Student Advisory Council from 21-22, we have a remarkable Vasquez student, Ms. Ashley Hinkle. And I know Dr. Chamberlain, I believe there she is. They'll be presenting a proposal. Ashley thought of a Vasquez garden last year, and I want to commend her for her drive and initiative for bringing this forward this school year. She has thoughtfully drafted a proposal that was shared and vetted through Dr. Chamberlain. Again, I commend Ashley for her efforts, and like Ashley and Dr. Chamberlain to come up to share the proposal with the board, please. Come on up. Thank you. And we do have the PowerPoint, so Ashley, thank you for sending that along. Thank you, Caesar, for putting it up on the screen.
So like they said, my name is Ashley Hinkle and I'm a senior at Vasquez High School. Last year, I was elected the National Honor Society president, and I had the idea to start a garden at Vasquez High School. And I talked to the lunch ladies and Ms. Wagner, the culinary teacher, and she agreed that it would be a good idea. And at the end of last year, I presented a presentation to the National Honor Society members at our last meeting, and we all agreed that the best type of garden would be a greenhouse, just because of the problems that we have with weather and rodents, so it would stay protected. And then at the start of this year, I drafted the proposal, which is on the screen, which just goes over how much it would cost for the project and the goals and the aim and just the whole organization of it. So I have the period of performance, the beginning phase, setting it up in preparation, and then if we obtain the funding, then it'll be growing an organization, and then the final phase would be to figure out how it's going to pass the torch down to someone else, so that they can continue on with the garden once I'm at college, and they can just continue it down with the rest of the high school students that are remaining at school. And then here I have the cost elements. So I have equipment and materials, direct costs, indirect costs, miscellaneous expenses. I found a reasonably priced greenhouse online, $533. There's shelving that goes with it. And then obviously you need gardening pots, gardening supplies, plants and seeds. So that's all priced in there. And then I have water and labor, but I didn't include prices for that just because it's hard to calculate. But I wanted to mention that it is a cost that we would incur. So it's just there as a placeholder. And the whole cost would be $1,051.62. And then I wanted to mention that it's not more, just because I know that I'm going to be asking the community for donations, and I know that our community is pretty giving, so that we'll get a lot of help from the community and tools and materials. That's just another cost summary. And then I showed this proposal to Dr. Chamberlain, and I presented it to the National Honor Society, and they all agreed that it looked okay. And that's why I'm presenting it to you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Miss Ashley and Dr. Chamberlain. I know our business official, Mr. Mirza, his ears perked up when Ashley, you mentioned reasonably priced. So I know he appreciated that. And she's probably someone to look out for, perhaps for the business office in the near future, because she's spot on. Thank you, Ashley and Dr. Chamberlain, for the presentation.
Did you have any questions?
I'll refer
Yes,
to the board.
board member discussion.
I don't have any questions, but thank you for putting that together.
Thank you.
Doing projects like this is a big deal, and so I'm very impressed you have a budget and everything, so thanks for your hard work, that's awesome.
Oh, no, don't go away yet. There's, hold on.
Thank you.
There's more than one of us.
That was a really well thought out, well put together presentation. I'm very impressed by you. So thank you very much, Ashley. It looks like you did a lot of hard work and put a lot of thought and effort into this. So thank you very much.
Okay, I get to ask you a couple of questions. Where's your proposed physical location? Where do you want to put it?
So someone actually tried to start the project, but it didn't go through. There's nothing actually set up, but behind the culinary classroom, there's a flat plot of land
Mhm.
that's fenced off from the rest of the school. And there is a spigot, so there's a watering hose nearby, so it'd be behind the classroom, and there's an access door from the classroom.
Cool. Gonna grow asparagus?
Maybe. I know those are
If you
hard to
do,
grow.
I'll back you. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's awesome that you do this because there's, all the things that would go through being self-sufficient and learning all these different aspects about being eco-friendly and everything else. And that's something that I'm sure that your culinary arts teacher would like to say, well, we can grow these things and then they can present it in their culinary arts class. So thank you for your hard work and I appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you again, Ms. Ashley and Dr. Chamberlain. Community engagement, before we go into the strategic plan and listening sessions, on October 18th, the California High-Speed Rail Authority held a virtual public hearing between the hours of 3 to 8 p.m. It was an opportunity that the district seized to provide our concerns over the Palmdale to Burbank project. Our concerns, along with other council comments, are now on record with the authority, formally speaking. In addition to voicing our concerns for the record, a summary brief was also formally presented and provided to the authority. One significant issue that we shared on behalf of the district had to do with dirt and dust that would be created along with the other pollutants near Vasquez and High Desert schools, which raised another concern over health and safety of our students and staff once the project is underway. Moving forward, starting on November 2nd, next slide, Caesar, please. There we go. Thank you. Starting on November 2nd, as part of our strategic plan review and outreach, we are starting our listening sessions. We'll be visiting each school as well as parent groups such as DLAC. Thank you to the Meadowlark PTO, High Desert Booster, and Vasquez PTSO for providing us time next week on their agenda to share this information and timeline, as well as gather input from our community stakeholders, particularly our parents. The listening sessions are designed to get thoughts on 5 critical questions, which, by the way, you could also address in the survey that was pushed out last week to the entire district community. The information that will be gathered will be shared with our strategic plan development team, who will then be tasked with identifying the key components to our writing team. They will develop and put together from the community input the updated strategic plan, because we have a great baseline to begin with, as you see up on the screen. On Saturday, October 22nd, I had the great pleasure of attending the Fall Festival at Vasquez High School. Kudos to the wonderful turnout and community partners, parents, and staff present. Few pictures up there for our viewers to see. The energy and excitement was felt all around. Congratulations to the Vasquez community, as well as to the Vasquez PTSO. Great job. Lastly, under community engagement, on Monday, October 24th, I had the distinct honor to be present at the High Desert reopening of the gym and NPR. It was very well attended. Thank you to the board for your commitment and follow through for making this happen. Principal Van Ornum, and to the High Desert community. We had dignitaries. We had Congressman Mr. Mike Garcia. He was a rock star that afternoon. Students were asking for his signature on their shirts. We had Representative Brandon Roque from Senator Scott Wilkes' office, Representative Carlo Paseo from Assembly Lackey's office, Representative Charles Boswick from Catherine Barker's office. I'd like to publicly, once again, thank our donors, Agua Dulce Airport, Wayne, Bob, and Colleen Spears, Shepherd Church, and they were present that afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Jose and Mrs. Irma Gonzalez, Lily Honda, Sheldon Sparks, Terry Comstock, Don Schneider. And again, to our coaches at High Desert for filling the gym, Michelle Herman, Gina Botten, Stephen Van Ornum, Mary McClaus, Mervat Tafik, and Mary Ann Dolstrom. It was very well attended. Kudos all around to High Desert. Moving forward, Caesar, you can go to the next slide, sir. Thank you so much. Utilization of fiscal impact. At our last board meeting, trustee Mr. Falsgraf requested a breakdown of how our enrollment, along with ADA, which is short for average daily attendance, meaning students physically in their seats on a daily basis, is different from overall enrollment. How that makes an impact on the district's overall budget. Based on the first interim, thank you, Mr. Mirza, for this information. Total LCFF local control funding formula with district enrollment at currently 1,013 and an ADA average daily attendance of 931. Our funding per student falls at $11,550.36. In order to break even for the district, our total expenses in the first interim, and Mr. Mirza, the first interim period is, if you could share with the public once again. July to October. So July of this year through end of October, our total expenses for the district falls at 60 million and change. Our break-even point at this time in a perfect world would be to have an enrollment of 1,400 for us to break even. So that would equate to an increase of 391 students. Granted, we moved the needle this year for overall enrollment by increasing our enrollment by 60 students. But in summary, to address Mr. Falsgraf's question, we have some ways to go. Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. This concludes my report.
70 COVID-19 reports, Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you. The CDC Independent Vaccine Advisory Committee voted last week to add COVID-19 vaccines to the routine childhood vaccine schedule. This has no impact, I want to mention again, no impact on vaccine requirements in California. In Acton, Agua Dulce surrounding areas, there have been 10 new cases of COVID since our last report, which would have been 2 weeks ago at our last board meeting. In our district community, we've had 4 reported positive cases since October 13th, and exposure notifications have been sent out. As a reminder, employees are no longer required to test unless they have symptoms of COVID-19. Home test kits are still available at 3 of our school sites as well as district office. We are now entering the flu season and we'll recommend getting your flu shot and COVID-19 vaccine now to make sure that our students are safe and safe from adverse effects of the flu as well as COVID-19. Thank you. This concludes the COVID-19 report.
Item number 8, board comments. Ms. Jensen.
Good evening. I don't have a whole lot this evening, but I am really looking forward to opening up the makerspace at Meadowlark. So I've seen pictures. It looks wonderful, and I'm very excited about that. It's going to be a great space for our elementary students to engage in STEAM activities rather than STEM, because I want to remind everyone we did write an art. We are in the process of writing an art plan. So we'll put the A in that STEM and make it a STEAM so that our students have space to do some fabulous art projects as well. Sometimes it's hard for the classroom teachers if there's not a lot of sinks and a lot of places to make a mess. So the maker space is a wonderful place to be creative and also make a mess that we will clean up when we're done. But however, it is a good spot for that. I would just like to welcome to thank the town council for their scholarships. It's nice to hear that they're already working on getting some scholarships for our students. That takes a lot of work, so I do appreciate them. And Ashley, great job. I think she left, but that was a fabulous job. Emily, always great. You're very articulate, and congratulations on the cross country. That's amazing. So good luck, and you guys are amazing. So thanks for doing that. Really excited to hear about the gym at High Desert. So finally, I think that that gym was old when my kids went here and their parents and about ready to send their own kids off to middle school. So I'm really happy to hear that that had some updates. So that's exciting. And then last but not least, you know, my term is almost coming to an end, but something that I'm very passionate about, for those that don't really know me or don't know what some things I really like for our district is it's very important to have a strategic plan. Very important that everybody is sort of knowing what we're all about and some things that we want. It's an opportunity, and I'm going to encourage our community members and our parents to make sure that they take part in the survey so that we know what everybody wants and what everybody's working toward. We can't have people just willy-nilly going for different goals because then you're not moving in the same direction. So we have lots of things in common. We all want what's best for our students. We want to have some great activities, but it's really important that we hear from our community so that we can be working for the same goals. So I will not, and I cannot talk about personnel matters, but no matter what happens with things that are happening with the football team, boys, this is going to, for some of you, this will be your last opportunity to play on that football field as this is your senior year. So no matter what happens, I'm just going to ask you to just play your best and enjoy the moment. You're a great team. This is one of the best memories you're going to have when you look back on your high school years. So no matter how it turns out for you, just be in the moment and just do your best. And just remember that it's always important to, you know, just be on our best behavior. You're representing your school and you're representing your community. You've done a great job. I've been at some of your games. So no matter what happens, I just wish you the best of luck tomorrow and just really be in the moment and just really enjoy this time because this is going to be a great memory for you, no matter how it turns out. So best of luck to you guys.
My turn. Thanks, everybody, for staying here. I'm the one that will say the controversial things that no one else will. First off, this board is not up here to run staff. Would you believe it if I told you I have no idea what you're talking about? Would you believe that that was healthy? Would you believe that there's a process in order? Would you believe that there are steps, and the last step in that process is someone would appeal to this board on the decisions that are made below? I know that's of no concern to you. You guys are trying to get through high school and figure out what's next. And I'll be the first one to say, if you were at the last board meeting, my candor and my language were anything less than appropriate. We all have our days, right? Good days and bad days. But I'm going to share some stuff with you that's egregious that I will tell you, regardless of how I'm represented, you will never see me personalize anything about a teacher in this district. In fact, I have a little YouTube channel and everything I say is on this camera right now. It'll be up tomorrow, and I challenge people to go to that site and find even one inference where I have criticized the performance of a teacher. Do you all know my daughter Tammy? You all have been her classmates. You all treat her very well. That's how you all represent to me. I will say this. Listen up, adults. Meeting after meeting, I have rooms full of people who are expressing their concerns. And I will hope that at some point, the sites mature to the point where we can get on the business of being a board and not having children in here and young adults giving up their homework time and their practice time to come in here and not understand a process and put this in the board, in the lap of the board. Guys, I hear you. There's nothing I can say to you, and I hope you understand that. Let's get the sites doing business at sites. When this district, when this board has to sit up here and start to involve itself in individual student and employee matters, something is very wrong. I'm going to give you all a little bit of how I look at things in this district here in a couple minutes if you hang out. If not, go home, get some sleep. Tomorrow will be a better day. I want to talk about last board meeting. We had a parent come in here who was very upset. Some behaviors at sites, like I said, we're all people. You cannot come in to our school district and assault people. You know what assault is? Assault is anything that causes another person to be in fear of their financial stability, in fear of their physical safety, anything like that is assault. Do not assault people. So a parent comes in here and says, some of the people that come into our district from other areas come in and are problematic. Does that mean that every person who comes into this district from another area is a problem? Of course not. But I will say this, board policy 5116 tells you that there's a code of conduct. If you come in here from another district, you are a guest. How many of you all go into someone's house and tear it up and throw your mud all over the place and act like an animal? You don't do that. People are guests in our district. I would like to see the administrators give us a presentation on exactly what the policy is and what kind of contract, behavioral and performance contract you sign when you come in here as a visitor to our district. Now, I may agree with the person, I may not, but I am the voice of people, whether I agree with them or not. And I think the parent has a point. So if staff is listening to me right now, we can expect an agendized information item about what kind of policy there is if you're going to come into our district, if you don't behave, or if your performance is low. Within that same subsection is some rules about why this district has to take people from the outside. One of them is if you are at a school that is frequently dangerous, think about that, frequently dangerous. So that means somebody wherever they are can apply to come over here where it's safe. Why are we safe here, guys? Look in the mirror, that's why we're safe here. Not any of us, you all. So you got some kid stranded over, afraid he's going to be assaulted, or she is going to be assaulted. When applies to come here. That is one of the reasons, if we have space in this district, that is one of the reasons that we allow people to come. But I want to review this so the public understands. I do not want parents coming in here and not understanding why we are required by law to take some, but I need some accountability when it comes to kids that are coming in here and making it unsafe and undesirable a place where our local kids don't feel safe. Am I being heard? The reason that people talk about me in collective bargaining, I work in the union environment. Collective bargaining on the agenda tonight, items 12 or 10, B and C, it says that our associations, our employee associations are going to come in and we're going to sunshine things. We talk about things. We talk about employment. Once that happens, it goes into negotiation. If you think I'm going to sit up here and do anything that affects somebody's right to bargain for increased pay, salary, I'm not going to do that. I'll just sit up here and listen to it. That's fine. But that's the way it works. It's on the agenda. Understand governance. If Trash and Me gives you a better raise, good for you. That's great. Next, I want to talk about this ADA thing. This all ties together. What the superintendent is telling you is that when I started on this board, the attendance that was given for each student was $6,300. Now all of a sudden it's up to $11,550. How does that compare to the Eastern United States? They get 20, 25,000, 30,000 students. That means those states invest in each one of you to the tune of that level of money. And that's the money we have to work with. Now they've been getting grants. There's 1,500,000 have been coming in here, but those grants are one-time money. The model for funding in school districts is you get this much per student. Right now, and for a long time, this community has not had the number of students it takes to float our budget. So let me explain this to you. This is really simple. Your household budget includes housing, it includes food, clothing, utilities, gas, transportation, insurance, your college fund, all those things. So if you make enough money, you're good. But if you run short some months and you have savings over here dipping into that, that's called deficit spending. If you're a person trying to get a good credit score, banks notice when you're doing that. That's what caused your credit score to go down, plus all them CDs I never paid for in 1978. Anyway, when you start deficit spending, the time is coming. So I'm very stingy with the reserve. You hear people talking about the reserve. If something goes wrong, we need to have the money in place. I have ideas about the reserve. But here's the bottom line. In order to bring this district up to what it needs to pay its bills right now, we need another 400 students. Where are they coming from? I'll tell you where they're coming from. There's signature programs coming up where you see trade unions coming in. You're seeing all kinds of things happening around here that weren't here before. That attracts students. If those students don't behave and they don't contribute to what our model is, we don't, $11,000 isn't worth disrupting everything. But we are doing things that cause our enrollment to go up. But right now, just to meet the bottom line, we need another 400 kids. So what do I think about at night? Certainly not whether people like me or not. Here's what I'm thinking about. Where would we put 400 kids right now? The elementary school rooms are packed. The teachers are in here saying, basically, I'm going to paraphrase, they can't reach the individual student. You guys are students. Who's the one teacher? I want you to think about that one teacher where you all of a sudden know that teacher knows I'm alive, that teacher knows who I am, and that teacher understands my potential as a human being. You all got one, right? Don't get my age and not go back and thank them, but that's what teachers do. If they cannot reach the individual student, then they don't feel like their job is getting done. That's the bottom line. So if we're jamming kids into classrooms to the point where they can't reach the individual student, we're not doing anybody any favors, but we're telling the superintendent, go get another 400 kids so we don't have to depend on charter school money and other stuff that didn't work out so well. Now I'm going to talk to the adults. When there are fluctuations in attendance at schools, and I've said this before, we can rejoice knowing that 10% more students came in, but somewhere there's a school that has 10% less students. So what does that all mean? Well, here within the district, intra-district, not inter-district, if I see fluctuations going on campus in enrollment and they're not fourth grade kids moving into fifth grade high desert, I start getting concerned. Read between the lines here, people. And when one of the campuses on this district starts losing a bunch of kids to another school district, basically, and those seats and that facility is filled up from people coming in from somewhere else in Mass, that means I'm losing facility capacity here. Does anyone hear what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you need money to fix things up. How many classrooms are on this campus that I can put kids in? But this campus is not DSA approved. So what is it going to take to get these 4 rooms and the other 4 rooms and the other 8 rooms? Because this campus is the answer. I don't want a bunch of people coming in from somewhere else and wonder why I'm jamming my own kids in another room with 38 people in it. My teachers can't reach them. That's the bottom line. So read between the lines, staff. I'm expecting somebody to finally start looking at the reserve and budgeting something, coming up with a plan that says, this is the answer. I don't know what's going on over there. I'm getting wore out on it, though, whatever it is. So at the end of the day, when you go to the public and ask for a bond to build your school, how y'all like your high school? Well, at the end of the day, it used to be a bunch of trailer houses and some fine people come out of there and went out into the world, came back and they did great. Shall have a fine school, and people paid for that school through a bond. So if you go out and propose a bond to people, because we can't keep our own schools full enough that everybody's coming in from somewhere else, and I've displaced my own students and creating impossible work circumstances for my own teachers. And I go out to the community and say, hey, I need some money to fix up Acton School. There are people right now that are making decisions on whether or not they can buy food or medicine. You know somebody like that. You know people are making food decisions who can't afford to drive into LA to get to work. You don't go to people like that. You don't go to people who are your grandparents on a fixed income. You're watching stuff rise faster than they can afford it and ask them to contribute to put a school while we're giving away floor space somewhere else. So the bond's not the answer. Here's another problem with bonds. People who pay into the bond, if your parents pay into the bond, they would have the expectation, my students and my grandchildren will benefit from this bond. But how colleges do you go to, or will you go to, where you're trying to get your basic classes out of the way the first or second year? And you're told, even though you're a local student, that you can't get in because there's too many kids. And people that don't pay on the bond are coming in competitive. This is all stuff y'all don't need to worry about, but someday it'll hit you and you go, I get what you're talking about. I'm gonna end this with this. We need to start planning about this crowding we have in the classroom right now. This is just the start of it. Because the more success you have, the more people feel welcome, and that's by you guys. Enrollment's gonna go up, finances are gonna get better, they have to. But I want to share a couple things with you. Y'all ever hear of a kid named Anthony Avalos? He was beaten to death after his torture in Lancaster. The county supervisors just approved a $32 million settlement to his family. Do you know what $32 million will do? It will take every student that I have in Vasquez this year that's a senior, and I can send them to UCLA on a 4-year free ride. How's that? But instead, that money's being paid off by an insurance company that's being squandered off. People lose their jobs. It's pitiful. At the end of it, listen up, adults. There's another defendant in that case. And who that defendant is, a third party that was supposed to be out watching people. Why didn't they have county employees? Oh, well, because their benefit packages are too high, their insurance costs are too high, their retirement, unfunded mandates is what they call it. But that company, somewhere within that company, had visited that boy's house several times, and now he's dead. There goes more of your taxpayer money. Finally, there's one more that's more recent. I want you to think about this, all of y'all. Think about this happening at your school. Santa Monica, Malibu Union High School. I work over in there. I've been watching them talking about their boards, talking about splitting those two districts. Well, you don't always know what's going on. Sometimes things happen back there 2 and 3 years ago that you don't know about. We can't talk about what was going on over there. Is somebody, get this, takes a kid who cannot talk, twins, cannot talk, very low cognitively, no communication things, roughs them up, habitually throws them around, bruises them, and when they react, the person was putting alcohol spray on their hands, and they would always hurt themselves doing this. You know how kids get sometimes. They were punishing these kids with alcohol on their hands. $45 million. So when we talk about the little things we got going on here, we're not that kind of people that tolerate that kind of behavior. So guys, whatever you got going on, we care for you, we trust you, you're the pride of the future of this community, never forget that. Be proud of yourself that we don't have this kind of thing going on at your school. Thank you all for coming tonight.
I am going to start with you guys sitting right in front of me. I know you guys have team dinner tonight, right? You should be at home. You should be pumped for your next game. You should not have to be sitting here in a board meeting. I know you guys are bored to tears. I appreciate you guys standing up for what you believe in. I appreciate you guys standing up for your team, your last game. I wish you could be home, and it really breaks my heart that you feel that you have to be here. So I am, as a person, as a board member, I'm sorry that you have to be here. I very much appreciate it. I love seeing your faces here. I hate the reason that you're here. So I'm very sorry that you feel that you have to be here. I've gotten to know quite a few of you this season, talking to you seniors as a community member, not as a board member, but as a community volunteer. I've gotten to know some of you. I've known some of you since before you even started kindergarten. You guys are an amazing group of athletes. Your season has not been what you deserve your season to be, and you've pushed through, and you have built a team and a brotherhood. And I want you, like Ms. Jensen said, I want you to relish in that. I want you to enjoy your last game. I want you to know that you leave it all out there on the field tomorrow night. I wish I could be there. My daughter has an event. I was planning on coming to your last game. Leave it all on the field. Do your best, no matter what. You get out there, you play for yourself, you play for your family, you play for your team, you play for your school. You get out there, you leave it all on the field. No matter what. No matter what. So that said, it is not up to the board to hand out discipline. It's not our job to take away discipline. We cannot say your discipline is too harsh, your discipline is too soft. This is how you need to be disciplining. That is not our job as the board. I know a lot of times people get frustrated with either a teacher or an admin or district office. And so they come to the board looking for answers. And unfortunately, we can't wave a magic wand and make everybody happy. It is not our job. It is not under, we don't have the power to say, this is what I think is right. That's not my job. That's not their job. As us as a board, I wish I could make everything right for all parties, and we just can't do that. So I know you're sitting here waiting for answers. You're not going to get them from the board meeting tonight. So I sincerely apologize for that. That's all I should say on the subject. I will go back to something that I've said over and over and over. There's still another board member to speak if you guys do want to hang out and listen. I'm not the end all. From going back to last meeting and a meeting before, I continue to hear the board said. The newest one is the board would agree with me. And I just want you guys to know that the board, nobody gets to speak on our behalf. Nobody gets to say that we would do something. Unless we do it, it's not done. So the board doesn't make decisions unless they're made here in closed session that we report out. The board comment is, I guess I'll have to say at every board meeting, if you hear the board said, the board didn't say. The board would agree with me, the board wouldn't. They wouldn't. The board is individuals, and unless we vote on it, the board isn't agreeing on anything unless it's voted on up here. So please, when you hear that, take it with a grain of salt. Something that I continue to hear in the community and in comments made to the board is things about kindness and the way that we treat each other on our campuses, and that it starts from the top. I would love to see some kind of professional development, some kind of programs that teaches us adults on how to behave, and then that will trickle down to our students on how to behave, because it does start from the top. And if we're not kind to each other and we're not actively showing what it's like to be kind to each other, engaging in social emotional skills, engaging in team development and working as a team, that will never, ever, ever transfer to our students. So that does start from the top. And if you're an individual staff member out there listening, I know that there's a time that you have either been talked to rudely or talked to somebody rudely, been engaged in something that we would not want to look at our students and watch them be engaged in. Think about it. Do an act of kindness. Think about the way that you're talking to people. Maybe change your attitude. Throw on a smile when you don't feel like smiling, and hopefully that will catch fire and it will transfer down to our students, out to our community, and we can change this. Bless you. We can change this collective kind of angry vibe that we have going on within our district. We have amazing staff members, amazing families, and amazing students, and we just need to change the thought process going on. Sorry. Emily, again, thank you for your student report. You're always very thorough and I very much appreciate you, and congrats to the girls cross country on their championship. That's incredible, very cool. The High Desert Gym opening, huge congratulations to High Desert staff, High Desert students. That gym looks beautiful. So thank you to the staff that was involved in making that gym beautiful. Thank you to the sponsors. Unfortunately, I had to work and I wasn't able to make it, and I was really bummed, but when I did finally show up, it was 5 o'clock and I ran in there and I saw an awesome game of staff versus students, and that was super fun to watch. Those kids, when they get to play with staff and watch staff make the same mistakes that they're making, it really says a lot about who they are, and it helps in building that community and building those relationships with those students, and watching staff and students all having fun together. That's the kind of community that we're hoping to build. So anything where staff can engage with students on a level that's not in the classroom and not talking about testing is always a positive. So that was really, really fun to watch. And then I am looking forward to the Meadowlark Makerspace opening. I did get to see it on their back to school night, and it was a very bright, vibrant, empty shell of a classroom. And I'm super looking forward to seeing it open, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of the great projects and things coming out of there. That's very cool.
Okay, so first of all, Michelle, I see you in the background. I want to again congratulate all the Hawks over at High Desert for the opening of the gym. And I'm sure you'll pass on to all your donors and your staff and the students and everybody that put everything together. It looked absolutely fabulous. Scoreboard, all of the markings and the banners that are going to recognize the hard work that the athletes and the students are going to put forward. So congratulations to you and your staff and all the students at High Desert. The high-speed rail, the notice that Dr. Zahaki read out was primarily for us to put a place marker so that 5 or 10 years from now, when they actually start doing some physical work in our area, wherever it's going to be, Route 14A, or wherever it turns out, they are obligated to come back and talk to us again to update us, to make sure that we have input about new technologies, new mitigations, new safety standards that can help address our concerns. So the record that we got on was, as the pride spoke to the project manager at the last open meeting at High Desert, and he says, get your paperwork in, and then that guarantees you a voice at the table 5, 6, 8, 9 years down the road, that we got to get to talk to them again, whoever represents the district and the community, that we can be talking. So, okay, what did you do about our concerns? Because our concerns are on record. So that was kind of like the primary objective there. Number 3, from time to time in any organization, and I've said oftentimes, is that Acton Agua Dulce is not a unique school district, but we are a special one. We are experiencing the same challenges as any other district in the state. Some have more resources than we do, some don't. But the point being is that from time to time, there are agencies that restrict or delay our placement and hiring of teachers. We have a vacancy. And just like any organization, I go around the I like going around the organization and say, I have an expert here, I have an expert here. I need your professional assistance to help us get through this short period. And this is what comes into play when we hear the discussion about artoses. Yes, we have teachers on special assignment. And I look at the word special assignment. We have them there. They're doing a super job where they're at, but they have an expertise that can help us bridge the gap as a team to get past until such agency releases these people that we've already agreed to hire. We just can't until they say it's okay to hire them. So it's a temporary measure. It's not a change. We're not eliminating anything. We're just asking, we're pulling up all the straps to get past this hurdle. The big item of the night, the reason that these student athletes are here was about an event that happened in the last football game on a campus at our high school.
Excuse me.
That I want to just reflect on it because I cannot answer any questions. I don't have all the information. Ms. Texoni confirmed that we don't make any discipline decisions. If there's a challenge and something that we get brought up in closed session, we meet, come out, and I report to you that we took action on something. So nothing, this board has decided nothing. Now, I'm going to step away from my role as board president, but I'm going to include it in my responsibilities that I take in my 12 years as a head coach and coach at Vasquez for football, basketball, and boys volleyball. And I had similar events of this type that I heard about, that I have no details on. My first approach is that I go to the coaching staff, and the coaching staff is the first step to mitigate the problem. I would do it as head coach. I would have my assistant coaches collectively, we would participate, and we would talk to all the student athletes. We would reaffirm our character integrity that I know what athletics builds in our young people. That would be my first approach. Then I would go to my athletic department because it's part of the program. Football is an integral part of a program that represents the entire school. So my athletic director would be involved if it needed to be done. And then the next step would be the site administration. This district office does not involve itself in micromanaging the site. We don't deal with the discipline at the site. I don't, as a coach, want it that way. I want to talk to my student athletes. I want to recognize them for their hard work, their commitment to what they're doing, the plays and the efforts that they put in to be successful, and they understand that. So when I look at the coaches are the first opportunity for mitigation for me. And if that is unsuccessful, I engage, talk with parents. I talk with them all the time. I would talk to my athletic director. I would go in and advocate and talk to my site administrator, and I would deal with it. That's how I hope that this gets resolved. It has not been anything from this board, from any of the board members, or from the district office making any decisions on this yet. It hasn't been presented. I appreciate your concern. You are doing the first good thing that you can do as young people is speak your voice. No one can ever tell you, don't say anything. I'll never tell you that. I never told any of my student athletes that. I've never told any of my students that. You have to understand the process, but you get to speak your voice. Whether you step up to the mic, whether you generate a writing, whether you present something, information, you fill out the information for the people at your site, your administrator, your coach, your athletic director. That's your right, and that's your privilege to do so without any hesitation to do that. Now, in the times that I had discipline issues with athletes over the 18 years that I was at Vasquez, yeah, I would stay there till dark because me and the student were going to get this resolved before the end of the day. We might be getting done by 9, 10 o'clock at night, but it was done and we moved on. And you as collectively as a team have an objective and a responsibility to represent your team and your teammates and your school at your final home game. Hopefully everything will be resolved. I don't know. I'm not involved in that. But you maintain the confidence that the coaches have instilled in you, the program, the preparation. Find a way to look at it. I've lost many athletes on their final game due to injury. Couldn't play. They go or do whatever. There's places and things to make things happen. So it's unfortunate. I, as a coach, it's frustrating to me because I can't deal with it. I'm a board member. I don't get to deal with it. But I have to sit here and prepare myself for the information that's provided to us when it's provided to us to represent the best interest of what's going on. And my first interest is always you gentlemen right here, you student athletes. The adults are second. You folks are first. You get the first decision, parents and the adults get the second decision. because my job is to look out for your well-being. I am totally 125, 150% involved with athletics. Football is the key element of the athletic program at the high school. The other ones are very, very important. There's no discounting that. But you folks started off in the fall of the school year to set the tone for the entire school year. You've had a challenging season, to be sure. But it didn't stop you from showing up. You put on a uniform, you came back out there, you did battle the next time, a couple of times you scored. You broke that shutout, and that is to your credit and hard work, and I applaud you for that. And I encourage you to continue to work hard regardless of what happens, that you go out there Friday and you show them what basketball football is all about. Because you know they know about it. Oh man, now we can really get them because they're all down and they're all just kind of like folding, they're picking up their marbles and going home. You go down and you say, now, we're bringing more marbles. And you stick with the game plan that you worked with over the week with your coaches and your program and what your job assignment is to do what you do best. When you put on that purple and gold, you go out there and you kick some beep, because that's what it's all about. I thank you for coming here tonight. I'm hopeful that there'll be resolution with the site administrator, athletic director, and the coach, get it resolved. That's my expectation so that we can move on. Okay, moving on. So we're done with all the comments for right now, folks, and we're going to get on to the boring part of the board where we're doing all the school business. Just know that we're thinking about you and then wishing you the best for Friday night's game.
Let the record show I returned at 8:42.
8:42. Okay, consent agenda. Item 9A, approval of the consent agenda calendar items will be items B, C, D, E, F, and G. I'll read those out for you. B is the minutes for the regular board meeting October 13th, 2022. 9C is the warrant register. 9D is the agreement Ed Theory LLC 2022-23. 9E is the ProCare Therapy Agreement 2022-23. 9F, Stepping Stones Group Agreement, and 9G, Agreement, the Genesis Group Incorporated. Do I have a motion to consider the consent calendar?
A motion.
I'll second.
Who motion? Brianna? Brianna, Ken, Dr. Zahakian?
I'd like to make comment regarding 9D through G.
Like in Delta?
I'm sorry, yes, D as in Delta through G as in George. These agency contracts have provided their pay rates as attached for the public to review. These are SPED related positions if we need to hire SPED positions on an interim basis or to utilize services such as a speech pathologist, for example, within our district when we cannot find these positions through the traditional route of recruitment through EdJoin and other sources. I do want to mention that again, 9D, as in David through G George, the funding sources for these 4 items are from LCFF, local control funding formula funding source. Thank you.
Board member discussion. Hearing none, call the questions.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Paul Scott, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, I motion carries 4-0. Item 10A, personnel action report, motion to consider.
I'll motion.
Brianna,
Kelly Jensen, second.
Kelly, Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you. HR has been working diligently on setting up interviews next week to fill the Meadowlark office secretary position. Congratulations to Brittany Blymeyer for her new position as Secretary for Transportation. Congratulations there. In addition, HR and the SPED department were successful in filling a newly vacated school psychologist position with a new school psychologist hiring. So I just wanted to make that announcement for the park. Thank you.
Board member discussion. Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Paul Scott, aye.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Tim Jorgensen, I motion carries 4-0. Okay, item 10B, declaration of public hearing of Acton Agua Dulce, ADA's initial contract proposals for negotiations according to Government Code Section 3547. This is a public hearing. I'm going to open this public hearing at 8:45. Board member discussion.
Yeah, I will have a comment here, and that comment is this. This is what I was talking about collective bargaining. This is where taxpayers have rights to hear what effect raises, benefit package increases, all those things have to do on the taxpayer. So at the end, here's what happens. We negotiate. The district team negotiates, the association teams negotiate. They open up what they want to negotiate about this year, might be the whole contract, might be pieces of it. At no time does this board become involved in the negotiations other than when parameters of it are sought in closed session. This is not an open session discussion. I don't sit up here and say anything about it. This is why I remain silent. But at the end of all this, here's what happened. Everybody knows this. The district team knows it, the associations know it. At the end of the negotiations, all of this is sunshine and it's sent to LACO, Los Angeles County Office of Education. They look at what's being proposed and what it has on the out years in the budget. And so once that gets through, the recommendation comes back to approve it. There's no collusion. There's nobody. When we sit up here, if I were to say anything about the negotiation, what I felt about it, I would be breaking the law. So I can't control what somebody decides to portray from there, but I will not engage in that. This is the opening of the collective bargaining agreement. And it will go on until it is announced that finally it has been approved, at which time Mr. Mirza will announce it at 2 meetings, which meets the sunshining requirement by state law. During that time, I will expect that no one will say anything up here that would be either pro, against, neutral. Don't comment about negotiations. If someone chooses to do that, I'll be happy to sit up here with a stone face and do my part to keep the law valid. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to close the hearing at 8:53. Item 10C, Acton Agua Dulce Teachers Association proposal for 2022-2023 negotiations for collective bargaining agreement sunshine. Motion to consider.
I'll move.
Ken,
Kelly Jensen, second.
Kelly Jensen, Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you. ADA has, as we know, formally notified our Board of Trustees to open negotiations for 22-23. So it is recommended that our board accept as presented the Acton Agua Dulce Teachers Association reopeners for the 22-23 collective bargaining agreement, please.
Board member discussion. Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Tim Jorgensen, I motion carries 4-0. 10D, Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District proposal for negotiations according to Government Code Section 3547. Motion to consider.
I'll motion, Brianna.
Brianna,
Ken second.
Ken, Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you. The attachment that's been uploaded to our agenda indicates that the district at the minimum intends to address the following 2 articles: employee benefits, which is Article 14 specifically, and Article 15, which is salary. So it is recommended the board approve the Acton Agua Dulce Unified District proposal for negotiations. Thank you.
Board member discussion.
Kelly. The document is coming up on the board. Can we open the document, please? Is this a district's intended focus? So the district wants to discuss these things. I won't ask what or why, but be it into the record, the district intends to discuss employee benefits and salary levels. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Call the question.
Falls, Graf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Tim Jorgensen, I motion carries 4-0. Education Services, 11A, San Joaquin County Office of Education Student Success Team Management System License Agreement. Motion to consider.
Kelly Jensen, makes motion.
I'll second.
Brianna, Dr. Zahakian.
This license agreement is also known to many educators as Beyond SST. SST, short for Student Success Teams. This is an electronic platform at a cost of $2,500 annually, $2,500 to the district. The funding source for this is coming out of district general funds, if approved. This electronic platform will store secure student information, which will help facilitate our mobilized teams at school sites for the SSTs, as well as other initiatives such as a 504 plan as well.
Board member discussion.
Dr. Saki, will this be used mostly, I mean, students, SSTs, but so there will be some record keeping for the MTSSS?
Yes, there's a
MTSS.
crossover.
Yes,
There's a crossover.
so not just for the 504s, but
Correct.
Okay.
It was just an example, but this does cross over to the whole umbrella of MTSS as well.
thank you.
So this is not a delay tactic or a replacement for IEP requests from a parent. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Who will have access to the information that's stored?
That's a great question. That would be the site administrators, the leads for the SST teams, the lead for the 504, which is typically our site principal. So those will be the ones that will be in charge of the accessing of the platform itself. And then during the SST meeting, the retrieval of this information on the spot when it comes to, let's say, the attendance, behavior, test scores, and the like, to go ahead and formulate a mindful 504 plan or an SST meeting result.
Call the question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Falls, Graf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Tim Jorgensen, I motion carries 4-0. 11B, Savas price quote, high school chemistry, $59,953.21. Motion to consider.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Kelly. I'll second. Dr. Zahakian.
11B, Savas High School Chemistry. This will be the textbook adoption at roughly 59,000. This has been vetted through the school site, of course, Vasquez, as well as made for public accessibility for viewing. And of course, with our department leads within science at Vasquez. So it is our recommendation that the board approve the Savas price quote for the high school chemistry adoption, please.
Board member discussion.
Just one, we've given the parents opportunities to come here and look at the textbooks, correct?
Yes,
Along those lines, the teacher support, we might as well incorporate this in the superintendent's statement on all these adoptions. The Teachers Association supports this.
yes, these have been vetted, 11B as in boy through D as in David on the agenda.
Thank you.
Do we have, what's the timing for receipt and getting these in the classroom?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Mirza in terms of the
For next year or next semester? Or what?
Yes,
So we're gonna have them hopefully before the end of this semester, so they're ready to apply and start working.
yes.
Yes. Call the question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Falls, Graf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Tim Jorgensen, I motion carries 4-0. 11C, Savas price quote, high school biology, $20,025.77. Motion to consider.
So moved.
Kelly, I'll second. Dr. Zahaki,
Again, recommended that the board approves Savas price quote for high school biology adoption of 20,000 and change. Thank you.
board member discussion. Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Tim Jorgensen, I motion carries 4-0. 11D, McGraw price quote, high school physics, 18,561.36. Motion to consider.
So moved.
I'll
Kelly,
second.
Brianna. Dr. Zahaki,
11D McGraw high school physics adoption recommended to the board to approve, please, at 18,000 and change.
board member discussion. Say time frame that these are all going to be in by the end of the year. Okay. Call the question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Tim Jorgensen, I motion carries 5-4-0. 11E, resolution number 2022-23.XX, instructional materials insufficiency of instructional materials. What? Instructional materials sufficiency. Is that of or insufficiency of instruction materials? Motion to consider.
So moved.
I'll
Kelly,
second.
Brianna, Dr. Zahaki,
Thank you. The public hearing for this resolution was held at our last board meeting, October 13th. And tonight we are requesting to approval of this resolution. I know at the last board meeting, Assistant Superintendent Ms. Kim Shaw indicated that there is, she affirmed the sufficiency of materials for this academic calendar. Thank you.
board member discussion. Hearing none, call a question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Tim Jorgensen, I motion carries 4-0. Business services, 12A, stop school violence threat assessment program grant contract. Motion to consider.
So moved.
Kelly,
A second.
Brianna, Dr. Zahaki.
All right. I did share out at the last board meeting about the STOP grant from the Department of Justice. Within the budget itself, I did embed a consultant contract, and you see the dollar amount. That funding will be, it's been embedded into the grant funding itself. Because for the life of the grant, there's a mid-year reporting, there's an annual reporting of statistics, results, data, and this is a requirement. So most grants will embed the assessment piece into the grant proposal and budget. And for this contract, this is with SPSG for the required mid-year and end of the year fiscal reporting as required by the Department of Justice. And again, the funds are embedded into the grant itself, so there is no encumbrance to district general funds. Thank you.
Board member discussion.
No, just, Ken was making some comments earlier about, how we have to come up with some funding. So just I always appreciate it when we go out for grants. And you have to choose which ones to go after because sometimes they're more work than they're worth. So he's laughing because he knows there's sometimes not easy. You have to do reports and there's strings attached. So thank you for getting this. I think it's important. So thank you.
Hearing no other, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Tim Jorgensen, I motion carries 4-0. 12B, resolution 2022-23.XS, authorizing use of remote teleconferencing provisions AB 361. Motion to consider.
I'll motion.
Brianna. I'll second. Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. We have this on our agenda monthly so that we could actually continue to offer the hybrid model of our board meetings where our community members could zoom in, and then we have folks here in person as well. Thank you.
Board member discussion. Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Tim Jorgensen, I motion carries 4-0. 13, calendar for the next board meeting is going to be on November 10th, 2022. Reminder, this is going to be only one during the month of November due to the Thanksgiving holiday break. The following board meeting will be on December 15th. Again, one board meeting because of the Christmas holiday semester break. And a special note for the December 15th, 2022 meeting will be the reorganizational meeting and oath of office for incoming board members. Let's see, item 14, future agenda items, board.
I have two. I would like to see the high-speed rail memorandum from the district to the rail authority made an informational agenda item, so this document appears in a board agenda formally. And next, I would like to have an informational session on inter-district student transfers. What type of contracting is necessary for people to come in from another district? I'm most interested in any board policy that has to do with behavioral and academic performance. And then I am interested in the public understanding under what rules are you required to take students by law, and what the district's rights are in being forced to take students that are under expulsion plans from another district. Just an informational item, please. Could I have the support of the other board members in that, those suggestions?
I support it. Thank you.
Yes.
I have one that I skipped over. But that's okay. Just future agenda item. I don't know if it could be done in November, but at some point, the plan of how we're going to educate our students, families, and community about the fentanyl crisis.
The fentanyl?
Yes. I think it's really important. Heaven forbid if something should happen, at least we can do our best to try to educate how severe this is.
Did we hear something about that there's something coming from Laco with regarding to that they're going to be providing the districts? Did I read about somewhere that they're going to be providing districts with a alert communication curriculum advisory for parents that we can include with all our parents in the community about this? I saw something or read something that Laco's preparing something.
Thank you for that, all trustees. LACO did in conjunction with this significant health concern crisis, I should say. They did put out a narrative with resources to all LEAs and school districts. We took that and we pushed that out several weeks ago to our entire community. At the same time, our counseling group is working with an agency that has a curriculum that's called In Touch with Teens. And they have a curriculum and a unit on substance abuse and what signs and to look for and what's out there. And we're looking into a parent component as well, which will be, of course, the parent education piece moving forward.
So as a matter of record, I'll second Kelly's request to have a fentanyl crisis informational session on the agenda for the November 10th meeting, please. Other board members?
Yeah. I agree, because I recall when I was doing my health that we had through the state of California, there was a requirement that we provide X amount of hours regarding alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. And I recall that there was a point in time when I got curriculum through McGraw-Hill or whatever that dealt with then the issue, which was methamphetamine. Now we have fentanyl, so we need to make sure that that's somewhere there's that providing our staff the appropriate sources so they can do beyond whatever we do system-wide for all children, but then also in our health-related content instruction.
Well, with all due respect, I understand the curriculum piece, great, but we need something faster. We don't have time to sit here and pick out a curriculum, have some
Right,
meetings.
no, I'm saying,
Yeah.
just get that done, but then don't leave it there, continue on to search out and get that information so that our
So
staff.
point of order, we don't discuss this now. Board Member Jensen asked for a fentanyl information session to be on the agenda November 10th. I seconded, I believe. Board Member Taxoni is in agreement with that. Thank
That's
you.
true.
All four board members are in good agreement with.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, adjournment, motion to consider.
A motion.
Brianna,
I'll second.
Kelly. Board member discussion. Hearing none, call a question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Falls your FI.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Tim Dorrington, aye. Motion carries 4-0. We stand adjourned at 9:09 PM.